Welcome, everyone, to this latest episode of the What You Need to H2Know podcast, where we feature the people, places, and projects in Ontario's water community. I'm Michele Grenier, the Executive Director of the Ontario Waterworks Association, and I'm excited to kick off our journey today by introducing you to one of our industry's emerging leaders. Today, we're joined by Michelle Scott, a consulting engineer at CIMA Plus based in Kitchener, Ontario. With 7 years of experience in the municipal sector, Michelle specializes in hydraulic modeling of water distribution systems, helping communities ensure safe and reliable drinking water. Michelle is also the chair of the OWWA Water for People Committee, where she leads fundraising and awareness efforts to support global access to clean water. When she's not modeling complex systems or organizing fundraising events for a good cause, you'll likely find her hiking, skiing, or canoeing with her 2 black lads. In this episode, we'll explore her professional journey and what motivates her philanthropic work, how she balances technical leadership with community impact. We'll also dive into the role of the Water for People Committee and what makes Ontario's water community so special. Let's dive in. So first off, thanks, Michelle. How are you doing today?
Good. Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, I'm glad you were able to make some time and squeeze this in. I know the lead up to the holidays is always a busy time, especially in consulting.
Yes, absolutely.
So let's start off by learning a little bit more about you. And I'll start by asking you, can you tell us a bit about your background and how you first got into the water industry?
Yeah, for sure. So I started out for my undergrad. I went to the University of Waterloo in environmental engineering. And I think when I chose that as my undergrad, I maybe didn't fully understand what environmental engineering was. And I didn't really know it was going to be such a water-focused course base. I think I was imagining I'd be more like studying plants and stuff like that. So yeah, that was kind of my first intro to the water industry with my undergrad studies. And I did a number of co-op terms throughout my undergrad that weren't water related for the most part. I ended up with more sort of kind of civilly type co-ops, and they were all great experiences, but I wasn't looking to go back to any of them full time after school ended. So once I graduated, I was still kind of open to just going with wherever a job opportunity might take me. And so I just ended up applying to jobs in the local area and ended up at C3 Water at that time. So yeah, that's where I started my career 7 years ago. And I'm still with the same group. We're now part of CIMA Plus, but I kind of just ended up in this role. I wouldn't say I necessarily made a conscious decision to go into the water industry, but I guess I've made a subconscious choice to stay in it for this long.
I think a lot of us end up here by, unintentionally, but it seems to be a pretty comfy spot once you do land. Maybe you can tell us a bit more about what drew you to specialize in hydraulic modeling and what do you enjoy most about this work?
Yeah, so hydraulic modeling was something I got the chance to try out sort of as soon as I started at C3 Water. And I really enjoy it for one aspect. It's sort of like playing a computer game all day. You get to change things, run different scenarios, see what happens. So it's kind of fun in that way. And I specifically like doing kind of system-wide analysis of water distribution systems. So you're looking at kind of what the constraints are in the system and trying to come up with a solution that works. So it's a lot like solving a puzzle, I think. And specifically being in consulting, what's nice about it is I get to work with so many different municipalities that every distribution system is different. They all have their own quirks and different challenges. So it never gets old. There's always a new challenge that I haven't seen before when I'm working with a new system.
That sounds pretty interesting. I guess thinking about that, when you're constantly trying to solve a different puzzle, what does your day-to-day role at CIMA look like?
Yeah, so at any given time, I'm working on maybe a dozen different projects, probably not all on the same day, but within the same month, maybe. So it'll be a mix of working with usually a lot of systems that I've become quite familiar with over time, a lot of a lot of clients that we've worked with for a long time, and we're maybe looking at something specific that they've asked us to. But then usually at any given time, I'm also working with a new system to me. So that always keeps things interesting. But and then besides that, our modeling team at CIMA has grown quite a bit in the past couple of years. So more and more so, a big part of my day is now spent kind of teaching and supporting some of the more junior staff. And that's always a good experience too, because they are often asking questions that maybe I haven't thought about before. So I think it really forces you to solidify your understanding of everything when you're having to explain it to someone else.
Yeah, it's a learning opportunity for both of you at that point.
Yes, for sure.
Yeah. Well, that sounds like a great challenge. Um, was there a specific moment that made you realize, so we talked a little bit about like landing here by accident, like many of us, but was there a moment that made you realize that this was where you wanted to build your career?
Yeah, I don't know if there was a specific moment, but I think certainly going to the annual conferences and stuff definitely is a helpful reminder of how many different areas there are to specialize within the water industry. So even if you start to maybe get a bit tired with what you're currently doing, there's so many areas you can shift to without fully changing paths. So it makes it feel like something you can be in for the long term. And also, there's never not going to be a need for clean drinking water, and municipalities are constantly growing and changing. So it just feels like there's never not going to be a need for working in this industry. So it feels very stable and
Yep.
needed.
Job security.
Yes.
In this day and age, you can't put a price on that.
Exactly.
Let's change gears a little bit and talk about your role at OWWA. And can you tell our listeners how you first got involved with the association, and maybe what was the first event you attended?
Yeah, so right when I was a new grad, I think I started working in August and was working in on a project for the city of Guelph. And then as abstracts were due for the upcoming OWWA conference, that would have been like in November or something, my employer encouraged me to submit an abstract for this project that I was working in to the conference, which was very scary to me at the time. And it got accepted, so I ended up presenting at my first OWWA conference that year. And so, yeah, that was kind of my first intro to OWWA. And it felt really intimidating going into it. I thought I was going to get peppered with difficult questions and stuff, but it was a really good experience because you find that everyone there, people are trying to be supportive of each other. They're not um, trying to test each other or anything like that. So yeah, that was a good experience. And then I've been at most of the conferences ever since then. I can't say that I find presenting any less scary now, but I try to still do it when I can.
Did you submit an abstract for Next Wave?
I did, so
Oh,
hopefully you'll see me presenting there. Yeah,
amazing. Yeah, you should be hearing very soon. So,
great. I heard there was a lot of submissions this year, so I know it's a stiff competition.
yeah, it's a big program, but I think it's going to be really good. So, well, thank
Yep.
you for that. And well, I hope to see you there. I'm sure I'll see you there either way. But thinking about your role with the Water for People Committee, or I should say the Water for People Canada Committee within OWWA, what made you decide to join up with that group? And then maybe can you tell us a little bit about your path to becoming the chair of the committee?
Yeah, for sure. So also by kind of in my first year of working, my employer strongly encouraged me to join the YP committee at OWWA. So that's where I was at first. And through that program, I was in the liaison program. So I did a couple rotations on a couple different of the OWWA committees. And I think Water for People might have been my third one. Um, but unfortunately, the year that I was the liaison for the Water for People Committee was COVID, so we didn't really do any of the normal events or anything. And the chair at that time just asked me at the end of my liaison term if I just wanted to stay on as a full-time member. And I felt like since I didn't really get the full experience that I wanted to give it a bit more time. So that's how I initially got involved. And then in terms of becoming chair, I think I quickly learned with the OW or with the Water for People committee that most of the members have been on the committee for quite a long time. So almost everyone has already served the position as chair. So it was almost that there was no one else who hadn't already been in the chair role, which worked out for me because it's the type of thing that I wouldn't typically kind of volunteer myself for. I'd assume that there's someone with maybe more experience or better ideas or something. So I got a little bit voluntold into the position, but it's been a couple years now as being vice chair and now chair. So I'm overall glad that I uh, that I had the opportunity to take on that role.
Well, we're glad you agreed. We are always thankful for people who are willing to step into leadership roles, and you're right. That is it's a very passionate and dedicated group on that committee, and so we're really lucky to have you there too. And maybe on that note, if you can, a lot of our listeners aren't going to be aware of what the Water for People Committee does within OWWA. Can you tell us a little bit more about what that's about and sort of your regular activities and then how it supports the broader mission at OWWA?
Yeah, for sure. So, Water for People is a not-for-profit international development organization. So, they work with developing communities to bring water, sanitation, and hygiene solutions. So, they work with Guatemala, Honduras, Peru, Bolivia, Uganda, Rwanda, Malawi, and India. Um, to help bring clean drinking water to developing communities. So what the OWWA Water for People Committee specifically does, our mandate is to raise awareness for Water for People and raise funds. So we do that through having different events throughout the year. For example, we have our next upcoming event would be the ski day. So all of the proceeds from that get donated directly. We donate directly to Water for People Canada. And then we kind of get involved in some of the other OWWA events throughout the year to help spread some Water for People awareness. And then we have some of our other standalone events as well throughout the year. So it's aligned with OWWA's goal to support safe and sustainable water systems. And then a lot of our events, I think, are also valuable to OWWA beyond the fundraising for Water for People. A lot of them serve as networking opportunities for members of the water industry.
Yeah, I've been to the Wee Walk, or not the Wee Walk,
Oh
but
yeah,
the Water for
Ontario
People.
Water Classic, yeah.
Yeah, the Ontario Water Classic, and I'm glad you mentioned Ski Day because yeah, for our listeners, registration will be opening first thing in the new year because we do have a date in February booked at Devil's Glen again. So thanks for mentioning that. We'll make sure we put that in the show notes so that people can get signed up. And on that note, what's one of the Water for People initiatives or events that you're especially proud to have been a part of?
Yeah, so speaking of the walk run event that you mentioned, the Ontario Water Classic, one thing that's always challenging is to get a new event off the ground. So we have a few really well-established and successful events that we've been doing for years now, such as the Ski Day, and we have the silent auction and heart sales at the conference every year. But yeah, the Ontario Water Classic is one of our newer events where we do a run, walk, and paddle event. So this past year was our third year doing it, and it seems like we're finally getting some momentum and improved awareness and turnout for the event. So that's really exciting because we've tried to get a couple other events off the ground with varying success. So it's exciting for something to be getting some traction, and hopefully it can become one of our more well-known recurring events.
Yeah, it is a good one. Um, it's interesting. I'm just checking my emails here to see I think we're in the process of submitting the annual donation to Water for People Canada, and I think it is over $10,000 that we've raised.
Yeah, we had an awesome year.
Yeah, congratulations. That's amazing. So I guess building aside from the money, what legacy or message would you like to leave for the next year when you're able to volunteer someone else or future committee members? How do you want what would you like to see them do in the future?
Yeah, I think it would be nice to continue, like with so many of our committee members having been on the committee for so long, which is great that we have so many experienced people with such that put on such successful events every year. But it can become easy to kind of stick to the status quo and do the same thing year after year. So I think it's important for us to continue to think outside the box and keep our members inspired and supported to come up with new ideas. So I hope I can leave behind a committee where new members feel like they have a voice and can put forward ideas and lead events of their own.
I think that's great. I think, creating that environment is important. And if you were to run into someone who was thinking about joining the committee but might still be on the fence, what would you tell them?
Yeah, I think if it feels intimidating, I would say that at the end of the day, we're all just volunteers and we're just planning fun events. It's not that serious. I think when I first joined, I maybe kind of along the lines of my last point, I might have felt a bit intimidated, didn't really raise my hand to step up to help with certain tasks because I felt like someone else would maybe have more experience and be able to do a better job. But the only way to get involved is to just take that first step, and you'll be surprised what you can accomplish just by putting yourself out there. And even if you feel like you don't know exactly what to do to tackle a certain task, there's no harm in taking it on. We have a really supportive group on our committee, so there's always going to be someone who can help guide you. But yeah, I think just there's no harm in giving it a try, and you'll be surprised.
Yeah. Well, that's great. I hope that there are a few people out there who are considering it and that they will take your advice.
Yeah, it's always great when we get some fresh members on board.
Yep, new perspective is important. I
Absolutely.
guess thinking then as to how, your volunteer work and how it links back to your professional development is how would you say does your volunteer work with Water for People committee complement your professional role as an engineer?
Yeah, I think somewhat. I think chairing a committee is a little bit like managing a project. You make budgets and run meetings and stuff like that. And then I think just being involved in OWWA in general, you realize how small the water industry really is. So I've gotten to know so many people through Water for People and OWWA that I've later gone on to work with on projects. Either we're both sub-consultants on a project or they might even be my client. So it's such a good opportunity to have so many familiar faces in the industry.
Yeah. Oh, that's good. And what have you learned from your time in OWWA and with the committee that's helped shape you personally or professionally?
Yeah, I think one thing is that working with the committee, it's really valuable for just in general developing some people skills. Like one thing that where it is a bit different than a work project is that you're working with all volunteers. So it's a bit of a challenging balancing act between wanting to steer things in a productive directions, but not putting more on the volunteers than they want. So that's been an interesting challenge, and I think it's a lot of transferable skills with that. And then I think that in general with OWWA events, whether it's like attending conferences or seminars or being involved in a committee, they're all valuable opportunities for networking and improving people's skills. So um, yeah, I think that helps throughout my day job as well.
Yeah. Well, I think, yeah, you've made a big splash for 7 years in. I think, you've really done a great job of maximizing those networking opportunities.
Thank
So, yeah. And I guess again with the, you know, you are also a volunteer and your time's not unlimited. So in
you.
choosing, how you spend your hours, how do you stay motivated or inspired, working in a field that's both technically demanding and people focused?
Yeah, I think working with Water for People specifically can be really inspiring. Like, I think it's easy to get wrapped up in the day-to-day tasks and kind of lose sight of what our goals are. But I feel inspired when I see some of the video content that Water for People headquarters puts out, where you can actually see what's going on in the countries that they're supporting and the great work that they're doing. One of our committee members, Micah, she was just recently on an impact exchange tour where she actually got to go to Malawi with other volunteers and Water for People staff. So she came back and did a little presentation for our committee about the trip and showed lots of pictures of the different infrastructure projects that they did and the community members she got to meet and stuff. So for me, that was a really remotivating kind of reminder of why we're doing what we're doing. And it makes me feel really proud to be a small part of a really good cause.
Yeah. Wow. That's amazing. And what a great opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so we have a couple more get to know Michele questions. And Michele the person, not Michele the engineer. And so the first one I have for you is, what's something fun or unexpected that people might not know about you?
Maybe fun and unexpected is I grew up doing Highland dancing, which I'm learning. It was a big part of my childhood, but I'm learning that a lot of people don't even know what that is. So it's Scottish dancing, so it's full on wearing a kilt and dancing to bagpipe music. I even went over to Scotland twice as a kid to compete.
Oh, wow.
So maybe given that my last name is Scott, it's not that shocking that I was part of something so Scottish as a kid. But yeah, I think people generally find that surprising to learn about me.
So you must have a lot of interesting socks.
Oh yeah, nice wool tartan socks.
Okay, well, I think we have to figure out a networking event that involves you teaching us all how to Highland dance coming up. So it's got to be a Scottish History Month somewhere.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Okay, on a different note then, if you could have dinner with any historical or global figure, who would it be and why?
Um, for that, I would have to say a global figure. I'm guessing people probably give answers for this like Einstein or something, but I'd have to say for me it would be Taylor Swift. I don't want to say I consider myself a Swiftie, but I have seen her in conference 3 times or in concert 3 times, so I
Oh,
don't
wow.
know what that says. But yeah, she just is like one of the most seemingly driven people out there. So it would just be really interesting to understand what drives her and what keeps her going.
Yeah. Well, and she's an incredible businesswoman.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
sure there would be.
absolutely. She knows how to read the market and give the people what they want. So.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And last one I have for you today is, if you have a travel recommendation for our listeners, can you tell us what it is and why?
Yeah, so kind of a water related travel recommendation is I was just recently this October in Madeira, which is it's part of Portugal, but it's an island kind of in the middle of the Atlantic. And why it might be so interesting for people in the water industry is they have the whole island is covered with these levadas. So it's like these open water channels that brings the water down from the mountains into the cities. And they've been there for
Oh,
like hundreds of years, a lot of them. And it seems like they were just kind of like perfectly designed to begin with, that they still work today. Now a lot of them have been, they provide a really good opportunity for making hiking trails because they had to build kind of a nicely sloped grading along the route. But yeah, I think a lot of them are still like actually in use, mostly for agricultural water uses. But yeah, it's really interesting to kind of see how people came up with water solutions before the technology we know of today existed and deal with the landscape and the water availability that they have.
oh, that's neat. That's a great recommendation. Definitely, we'll have to think about how we can share that more broadly.
Yeah. And I mean,
Yeah,
aside from that, it's also just a great place to visit, like amazing food and beaches and stuff. But if you're a water nerd, then this is a
it's a
bonus.
bonus. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's awesome. That's all the questions I have for you today, Michele. And I want to say thank you again for taking the time out of your busy day to chat with me. And to all our listeners, if you want to meet Michele or if you have questions about Water for People or about hydraulic modeling, definitely sign up for Ski Day and definitely make plans to attend Next Wave where you can see her present, probably, and learn more about what she does there. But yeah, so once again, thank you. Thanks for being a committee chair. We really appreciate everything you do for the association and for Water for People Canada. And it was great learning more about you today.
Great. Thank you so much for having me.
All right. And I hope you have a very happy holidays.
You as well. Thanks, Michelle.
Okay. Talk soon.